Thanks for sharing, readers. I find it interesting that they live in a cave. You know, here in Florida, we really don't have a lot of caves. I don't know if we even have any caves, but where this is taking place in China, that must be a really good place for them to live at that time because it was safe, it was protected from the weather. So I find that pretty interesting. All right, let's jump into our reading strategy lesson for today. Remember, we're thinking about how we can recount stories, which just means to retell the story in the order that it happened. Yesterday, we learned how to do that by doing a who and a what, keeping track of the who and the what and the who and the what throughout the story. We ended up with a pretty long T-chart, didn't we? So today I'm going to teach you a different way you might try it to see if this is more helpful for you as you think about the events of the story so that you can recount them. We do this by making a 4-square chart. It's pretty simple. On your page, all you have to do is draw one line down, one line across. That gives you 4 boxes. This time you just put your box in the middle, not like a T-chart where your line at the middle, not where at the top like you do with a T-chart. In each box, you label it with these story elements: characters, setting, problem, and solution. And you know from first and kindergarten that characters are the people or animals in the story, that the setting is where and when the story takes place, the problem is the challenges that the characters face, and the solution is how the story wraps up in a way that solves the problem or takes care of the challenge. You know those. This is how we're going to keep track of the events of the story. We'll think through the story and jot little notes under each box to help us remember what happens so that we can recount this fairy tale. Let's think about Snow White. Remember, we read Snow White yesterday. Let me show you how to use this 4-box to keep track of the events of Snow White. First, I think about the characters. Who were in the story? And I just jot a list. Snow White, the Evil Queen, 7 dwarfs, and the prince. Notice I don't have to write sentences like Snow White was in the story. The Evil Queen was her stepmother. I'm just jotting some bullets down because I'm going to use this to retell my story. Next, I move to the box that says setting. I need to think, where did this story take place? Well, the story doesn't come out and say where it's at the beginning, but I know that it's a princess and a queen, and I can see in the background that it looks like there's like a big fountain there and some fancy curtains. So I'm going to infer that they are in a castle using the illustrations. And then I know that the story moves, the setting moves into the woods. So I've jotted those 2 things on my 4-box. Now I ask myself, what was the problem? There were a couple of challenges that happened in this story, weren't there? I'll jot them underneath. Remember, I don't have to make complete sentences if just a jot will do. So the first problem was that there was a jealous evil queen, right? Because she was not very kind. The next problem was that Snow White was tricked. Remember, the evil queen tricked her. And then finally, the problem was that there was a deep sleep. So I don't have to write all of the sentences in there, just some jots to help me remember what was the big problem or problems in the story. Then I can put some jots to remind myself, how did those problems get solved, or how did the challenge get overcome? Well, in this story, the prince arrives, a kiss breaks the spell, and they live happily ever after. So I jot those things. Now that I have my jots down, I'm ready to recount the story. And I'll use my 4-box like this. Well, in the story of Snow White, there was Snow White and her jealous evil stepmother, the evil queen. They lived in a castle. The evil queen was jealous, and so Snow White ran away to the woods. In the woods, she met the 7 dwarfs. While she was there, Snow White was tricked by the evil queen and fell into a deep sleep. Then the prince arrived and gave her a special kiss, and the kiss broke the spell, and they lived happily ever after. Do you see how I didn't go from this box to this box to this box to this box? I bounced all around the boxes so that I could tell the story in the order that it happened. This is just another way that you can keep track of the events in the story to help you recount a fairy tale. Now it's time for you to try this work. The next Nearpod slide is going to be a draw-it slide that looks just like this. I want you to think about the story of Cinderella that we've read and worked with a little bit so far. I want you to make a few jots under characters, setting, problem, and solution that would help you as you recount the story of Cinderella. Then we'll get back together again and see what you wrote.